Welcome to Polygon's Overview. I'm Charlie Hall. With me today is Mr. Nick Robinson. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby. This, Nick, is a game that you and I have been playing for, gosh, a couple of weeks now, and it's called Captain Forever Remix.
This is a hell of a ship you've built here, Charlie. This is quite a monstrosity you've put together.
This is my favorite construction that I've done. I've had a good dozen of these things. It's all business on the right and a little bit of standoff on the left. You got
what is happening on the right there? So walk people through what you've built and how you built it.
All right, so this game that we've got here is just a little bit Lego and a little bit kind of a space shmup. And what it lets you do is just what I'm doing right now is build a ship on the fly from the twisted remains of your enemies. And what I did is I put all these melee weapons on the right side and some short-range lasers on the left side. And I'm trying to kind of fiddle with my thrusters right now to be able to go straight forward. It's actually kind of hard, but man, this game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Have you played any of the other Captain Forever games?
I had no idea this series even existed. What are you even talking about?
So it's weird. It was made by this dude who went by the name Farbs. He was like an indie developer, and I remember seeing the original Captain Forever in like I think the late 2000s actually. I was doing like an indie game website with a buddy of mine back in the day, and it was like this browser-based free game that was this exact same idea, but it was aesthetically very different.
Okay.
But so sort of this like similar-ish neon thing, same idea with you flying a ship around and dragging and dropping things to construct it, but without any of the kind of playful, bouncy style that they've added here. So I spoke to the devs of this game briefly at GDC, and they said basically they worked with Farbs and they said they wanted to build a more like approachable standalone version of the game for Steam and maybe for consoles down the line, and that's what this is supposed to be. But it's basically the same exact game, yeah.
This would be amazing on a console. Honestly,
yeah,
I could kill a lot of time on my couch with this thing.
So the big question then for consoles, I guess, and I was talking to them about this too, is a big component of the game is like you're dragging and dropping with your mouse to put these ships together like you're doing here, right?
And I've got a minute. It's like speed Legos, Nick.
Yeah.
This is really hard to do. Look at all these parts.
The first time I did this, I got so terrified because I was like, oh my god, I'm going to run out of time. But then I realized when you jump, at least in the early access build I played, all of your parts jump with you. So you're not as safe when you're in the next sort of area, but you do get to bring all your stuff, even if it's not attached to your ship.
Yeah, everything kind of on the screen kind of moves with you, you're right. I don't realize that right here in this scene, so I am moving as quickly as I can. And then all the individual components degrade too, right?
Right.
So all these different pieces, as they're blinking faster, as they go to a more transparent state, they're more worthless. And whatever you've got bolted to something that blows up falls right off.
Right.
So it's this weird prioritization of putting your prettiest Legos closer to the center of the ship. You can see a little star there with CF on it as Captain Forever.
Right, that's kind of the thing that when that dies, you die. That's the core of the ship, right? We can call it the pilot's quarters or something. But it's funny to see the way you play compared to how I play, because I always want to put the strongest components on the outside of the ship, because I feel like they can take the most heat.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I just feel like they can, like the red stuff, the higher level stuff can... It has higher health, I guess, so I feel like... Also, another thing you do very differently for me, I try to build perfectly symmetrical ships every time. It's just like, it's painstaking and obsessive, but my ship flies straight, and that's valuable to me.
I kind of like circling and having, different parts of my ship facing the enemy at a given time and kind of shifting those parts. But it also, there's a little clip here coming up, I was able to take on 2 enemies at once. Doing it that way. I actually kind of ground away at one of them with the melee gear and then was shooting at another one with some of the lasers. It's pretty cool. There's also a little sniper build as well. Have you played with the sniper weapons at all?
No, I haven't. I didn't make it to that.
There are they're a little denser, faster moving projectiles that go maybe twice as far as the lasers that we're playing with right now. And getting back to that idea of kind of the core of the spaceship, you want to just blow up that little central bit, because that leaves you all the pieces around it. So there's this strategy for how you deconstruct the enemies that are attacking you.
I found that, like, very often what I end up doing is kind of just smashing into the other ship and trying to almost grapple with them, like wrestler style, and just drill down into the core so that I can take all their guns with me. But it's sometimes when you end up in a situation like the one you're in here, you kind of just have to panic and just shoot non-stop until everyone's dead.
Yeah. Oh, this is brutal. But it eventually kind of devolves into this, exactly what we're seeing right here. It's just this scrum in the middle of the screen. Did that get frustrating to you at all?
I mean, yeah, like there are definitely moments where I feel like I would have to kind of try to escape, like as soon, like, oh, whoops, before I knew it, all my guns were gone and my ship was not really shaped like a ship anymore, and I just gotta kind of abandon the whole situation. Like it feels like your momentum can really start to deteriorate if you get in one bad battle and all of a sudden you've lost all your like level 4, level 5 equipment. You are in a world of hurt.
I've been able to recover once or twice from the scenario you're describing, and I've been down to just my little pilot's module, the nougaty center that is Captain Forever sitting in there, and I blow up the opposing player. What's interesting, though, as your ship gets whittled away, you're a smaller target. So you kind of scroll the mouse wheel, you zoom in, and you can really kind of just get right up next to them, out of the range of their guns. Their guns can't turn to face you, and you just burrow your way into the center of their structure. It's weird the way that happens. And then you hit the core and everything falls off.
It's funny too, like as someone who's played the original, like the thing that is most visibly evident to me is like that character there. There were no characters really in Captain Forever before, and now it's like this very unique style, like colorful Saturday morning cartoony thing. But I like it for the most part. Like the writing's pretty funny. I enjoy it. It's charming, I feel like.
And the art style definitely is. It's got a lot of that Garbage Pail Kids look to it. I don't know if you remember Garbage Pail Kids, and maybe before your time.
Yeah, no, there's an ugliness to some of these characters.
Look at that spider there.
He had 4 pairs of 3D glasses for all 8 of his eyes, which is a good touch.
It's definitely a look. But I've seen the developers on Twitter. Dean Tate in particular is really very vocal on Twitter, and he's just putting up new character designs all the time. And so each one of these little figures is hand drawn by Dean and then put into the game, and they're very interesting.
And yeah, this game was an early access, I think.
Still is an early access, yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because like the kind of the big thing about Captain Forever was that Farbs was always working on it. It was kind of an ongoing development. He was always adding to it.
Oh, like a little Dwarf Fortress kind of thing.
Sure, yeah. Whereas I think the intent with this game is to make something a little bit more final and a little bit more complete eventually. Like they'll just be done with it someday. But it's cool to see that they're still adding characters. Like I'd love to know exactly how many there are floating around in there.
Do you have any idea if there's a multiplayer component that they've planned for it?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about how that would really even work. Like, there was never really anything quite like that in Captain Phyrexian or Captain Forever.
I think that local multiplayer would be a ton of fun, especially given like all of the bells and whistles and the art style. Just to kind of chat about it with your buddy sitting on the couch next to you. I just don't know. I don't know how you would accomplish that. Maybe online multiplayer.
I mean, like when I was talking to them, also like. You mentioned how this would be fun to play on a console, but I'm still trying to figure out what the best way to solve the shipbuilding thing is, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of suggesting maybe try the PS4 touchpad or put it on Vita or something, but who knows?
Oh, Vita would be an interesting move. Maybe the Vita folks should get on this. Well, I'm excited to see how development goes from here, Nick. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.